Coming up on an all-new episode of the Tiger Basketball Report, we'll be joined by the head coach of the Tigers, Pat Skerry, as we see how the Tigers fared in the Gildan Charleston Classic this past week. Later in the show, we'll preview the Tigers' next span of games around Thanksgiving. Get ready, fans. The Tiger Basketball Report begins now. Hello, Tiger fans, and welcome into the Towson Sports Network studios for another episode of the Tiger Basketball Report. I'm your host, Spiro Morekas. This past week, the Tigers were invited to participate in the Gildan Charleston Classic, held in Charleston, South Carolina. The Tigers had some difficulty getting the ball in the basket their first couple of games as they lost to Oklahoma State and Ole Miss. However, both contests were competitive, and the Tigers showed signs of brilliance. The Tigers did win their last game of the tournament, defeating Bradley. Sophomore point guard Byron Hawkins, who had 24 points in one game, 28 in another, and joining me now, the head coach of the Tigers, Pat Skerry. And Coach, the one thing you can take away is that Byron Hawkins showed you he can be an offensive threat going down the line here this season.
Yeah, he's made a major step forward, and I think eventually our success this year in conference play is I think he's like the key guy. He's scoring it. I think his assist total would be higher. We've missed a lot of shots at the rim, but he's not turning it over, and he shows the ability to make some big shots, and he's been gritty defensively, which is something I've been on him for. So he's clearly playing at a higher level than anyone else right now.
We talked about this in the first show. Byron last year got a tremendous amount of playing time, started just about every game as a freshman. That has to pay off down the line.
I think it has, because even though the stuff I've been on him about this year in practice, I just sense a more coolness, calmness, confidence to him, even in games. Even when you're trying to, rev him up, or he's got a good feel. We obviously knew he was talented when we recruited him, and he, like I said, he's just playing with a lot more confidence.
Well, the other thing he did is he almost tied Gary Neal's school record for most three-point baskets in a game. He had 7 against Oklahoma State, against Ole Miss. Gary had 8. Against Georgia State a few years back.
Gary can get 8 rolling out of bed, so that's a good accomplishment that he made 7.
Now, the game against Oklahoma State, you guys, you out-rebounded them. You took more shots than they did. Unfortunately, most of those shots didn't go in, which was the reason why you lost the ball game. But you had to be impressed that your team hung in there and were not outmanned during the ball game.
Listen, Oklahoma State had everyone for our game. Our game. We literally knocked out like 2 or 3 of their guys during the game, including their all-conference guard. If you told me going into the game we were going to get 12 more shots and 12 more free throws in them against a Big 12 team, I tell you, feeling pretty good about it. I think we're still not there yet offensively, and it's not a talent thing. It's just more of a chemistry, not rushing, playing too fast, getting better shots, better ball movement, and that's something I think we're fighting right now that we got to get solved. That ultimately did us in against both Oklahoma State and Ole Miss. Wasn't and the fact that those teams are good.
Right.
They're both in the NCAA tournament last year. So I think our intent and I think our competitiveness and our bodies, we didn't look overmatched against those type of teams. It was a good battle, but the ball didn't go in the basket enough. We've got to make it easier on ourselves on offense.
The other thing was you played Ole Miss, and you mentioned, they were in the NCAA tournament last year. They had the leading scorer in the SEC last year, and there's a pretty good chance he could end up being the leading scorer in the league this year. You're not going to face a guard like Moody again, I don't think, all year long. I mean, this kid is good.
Yeah, I mean, we got Wanya Green's a heck of a player, but this kid Moody had a career-high 30 points. Give Andy Kennedy credit. They laid an egg against Georgia Mason. They were not ready to play. They came out ready to play. And at the end of the half, blitzed us, end of the first half. And he made like 4 straight threes, and a couple of them were tough shots.
Right.
I love the fact that we played in that tournament. I really think it's going to benefit us later on.
Final game of the tournament, you defeated Bradley, a very young team, and you had them double digits almost the entire game. They made a late run, but you were able to hang on for the victory. The offense did improve in that game against Bradley.
I thought we were pretty good for about 32 minutes. And we didn't close it out the right way. Brian Wardell's going to do a good job at Bradley. Young talent, good Missouri Valley Conference, as we know. We guarded. That was good. And we just, like I said, down the stretch, I thought when they started some zone trapping, running around a little bit, we played a little bit more hurried than we would like to have played. But we needed a win, most importantly, and we found a way to get one.
So, 3 games in 4 days. It was action-packed for you guys. You say you were very happy you played in that tournament. What do you take away? Even though you were 1-2, you leave there with good feelings, or you leave there with mixed feelings?
Well, I think it's a great thing for our program. Charleston's an unbelievable place to hang out at and play some basketball. So, we got work to do on offense, but I still, like I said, I like the team. I like the idea of playing against really good teams early, which is what we had to play against, and some other good clubs left there 1 and 2 as well. So that's kind of what it's the nature of the beast in those things. But I think it's important to find out about ourselves. I think we found out some stuff we got to work on.
You also had a lot of time to have team bonding too.
We did. They had some chance, and some family and friends were down there, and they had a couple good meals and walking up and down the market at King Street, and it's rich with history. So I think that stuff really benefits you later on, and we're appreciative of the opportunity that we had to participate in that.
It's time for us to step aside and take a quick break. When we come back, we'll look ahead to the Tigers' next set of games against Gallaudet and Coppin State. The Tiger Basketball Report will return right after these words.
Tell your truth or trust a lie. Is this hello or is it goodbye? Is this the low or is this the high? Just let it go, enjoy the ride. Without the low, there ain't a high.
Oh, hello! Can you help Santa with a new data plan?
Sure thing. Right now you can get 15 gigs of data for the price of 10. That's 5 extra gigs for the same price.
Looks like someone just made it to the top of the nice list.
In that case, I want a new bicycle, a bike, helmet, a basketball, a stuffed animal that talks when you squeeze it, and...
I got your letter. We're good.
Oh, okay, I was just making sure.
Get 15 gigs for the price of 10, now at AT&T.
How long does it take to change the game of basketball? Days, years, decades? How about 0.4 seconds? All of a sudden, big ain't so big no more. Small ain't so small. The step back 3 is the new dunk. Follow through is the new poster. Range is the new hang time. How long to change the game of basketball? 1 second or less.
White Market's ice cream plant is based in Sunbury, Pennsylvania, and it's locally owned and operated. We've been making our ice cream for nearly 50 years. We create roughly 70 flavors of ice cream right now. We use local ingredients, especially our cream, which is from our milk plant. The cream is what gives our ice cream a rich and creamy texture. Now, together with our customers, we've created a product called Peanut Butter Indulgence, which will be coming out this summer. It's a peanut butter ice cream with sea salt caramel swirl, chocolate-covered pretzel. How can you go wrong with that? Personally, I love our ice cream. If you come to our house at any given time, you'll find at least 5 packages of ice cream in our freezer. Our kids grew up eating Wise quality ice cream, and now we get to treat our grandchildren to it. It's been a pleasure for me to be tasting ice cream for over 40 years for Wise Markets, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Welcome back to the Tiger Basketball Report. I'm your host, Spiro Morekas, joined by the head coach of the Tigers, Pat Skerry. The Tigers are back in action this week as they will be back in CQ Arena on Wednesday to take on the Gallaudet University Bison. And right before Thanksgiving, that ball game, obviously, 2 o'clock at CQ Arena. And then the Tigers will take another road trip, this one nowhere near as far as Charleston, South Carolina. They'll head over to Coppin State to take on the Eagles Saturday at 4 p.m. First off, Coach, Gallaudet, a team that Towson hasn't played in years and years and years. Obviously, it's a deaf school in Washington, Division III program. They've had a lot of success through the years, though.
They have. we were going to play a non-Division I right here before Thanksgiving. We've done that the last couple of years. It's kind of the way the schedule breaks. We're not buying a game, so it makes sense to play a local team. And obviously, what Gallaudet does with their students and their student athletes is amazing, especially as a parent of a special needs child. So we're excited to get them in here and compete against them. But I think it's impressive what they do on a lot of fronts. Their ability to overcome adversity is something you try to preach to your student athletes on a daily basis, and they do it daily.
Do you say anything to your team before you play a team like this? The fact that they are deaf and it is a different circumstance than anything they've ever played against before. Do you say anything to the team about that?
Most of our guys know. They also know of kind of interesting fact. One of their assistant coaches is Lawrence Moten, who is one of the best players ever in the history of the Big East. So we bring them up to speed on some of those things. But it's once the ball goes up, our guys, they need to focus on the task at hand, and that's what we expect them to do, and that's to play the right way and get a victory.
And you look at your team, and you have a lot of guys returning, but it's still a very young basketball team. I mean, really, the only senior that's getting a lot of playing time is Tomas Parker Rivera. Besides that, there are no seniors playing. Josh Ivory a little bit, but that's about it. So you have combinations that you're still trying to work with here in the early going, and I guess a game like this really helps.
It will. We got a little bit like Josh Ivory's played well, and he needs more minutes, but we've struggled to score. So Byron's had to stay on the floor, but I think we got to maybe look at him and Byron a little bit more together. And we got to get John Davis back. John's playing better, but he needs his wind and game experience. He's had 2 practices in the last month, but he's played 5 games. So we're not there yet. And I think some injuries have had something to do with that. And then you get some new guys. William Moto's had some good games and some not so good games. But he's also played some good people, and he's still getting 14 and 7. So obviously expectations are high, but he's got to get some rust off too. And Alex Thomas is a guy I think that's shown flashes, and he's certainly going to play more. And Jordan McNeil probably won't play Wednesday because of the injury, but he's a guy that I thought played well against Ole Miss, played 14 minutes. And so, we are still somewhat rounding in the form. I think it's health, and then, like you said, it's just a little more marinating, a little more seasoning.
Right. Jordan McNeil getting banged up, it's not a long-term thing.
No, we expect to have him back, hopefully, for the Coppin game.
Yeah. So the Tigers, again this week, Gallaudet and Coppin. And I know you love playing the local teams, and going over to Coppin is, yes, it's a road game, but it's not a road game. You've got to go through all kinds of gyrations to get it put together. You get on a bus and you're there in 5 minutes.
Well, the good thing is you don't miss class,
right.
And it makes sense to play the local teams. That'll be a hard game at Coppin. It always is over there. They have a beautiful facility. They play fast-paced, pressing, shooting a lot of threes. So you got to take care of the ball, get a guard the 3-point shot. Things you need to do, to have success on the road. So we want to play every local team as much as we can. I just think it helps build the culture of basketball in the greater Baltimore community.
And for Coppin, it's a big game because they don't play a lot of home games before they get into conference play. They're on the road playing a lot of so-called guarantee games throughout the early part of the season. So for them, it's a big deal to have you come in.
Yeah, no, it's and like I said, we play home and homes with everyone. That's local. I think it makes sense. It challenges our guys. And we saw last year, we were over at Morgan, and they had that place rocking. So you don't know what you're going to walk into.
And that Morgan game was what you like to call a rock fight. You expecting the same thing against Coppin?
Well, they play. Morgan was a big physical team last year. Coppin really plays fast. So I think tempo of the game will be markedly different.
Your tempo this year has been markedly different. I mean, you have picked up the pace offensively. I mean, this is not a team that's going to slowly bring the ball up the floor and set up something for 25 seconds. I mean, you guys are going.
And we said that was going to happen. And I think that's long term, that's going to be really good for us, our makeup, our personnel, our youth, our talent. But right now, we're probably playing too fast, or we're shooting too fast, and it's hurting our shooting percentages. And that's the fine line we've got to get solved. We don't want to put the brakes on totally, because I don't think that gets us where we're capable of getting to. But we've got to get a little bit better understanding about shot selection.
Speaking of shot selection, Mike Morsell is off to a rough start shooting the basketball, only about 18% through the first 5 games.
Yeah, not good. Not for a player of his ability.
What do you say to him, or do you try not to press him too much?
You know what? I talked to him for a while yesterday. Actually, we texted him back and forth. First of all, he's playing a ton of minutes still because he is guarding at an elite level, and he's really rebounding the ball. So that's going to, and I have the utmost confidence in Mike that he's too good a player for those percentages. He's going to break out. I think the big thing with him is if he misses a open shot for the perimeter, take the next one versus trying to create something in traffic. And he's got a DVD of all his shots, him and a couple other guys over the first 5 games to study a little bit yesterday, and we'll talk a little bit about today, and he'll get that fixed. But I've got all the confidence in the world in Mike.
All right. When we come back, on the other side of this break, we'll see how the Tigers are spending their holiday before we continue our preview of their upcoming games. The Tiger Basketball Report with head coach Pat Skerry returns right after these words.
When cold refreshment calls, Coors Light answers. Frost brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
Playing basketball is a tremendous education. I've always felt athletics and the CEA prepares you well for life. You're constantly faced with adversity.
It builds character, it builds leadership.
Our kids recognize the need to be successful on the court for the rest of their lives.
One of these days, the air is going to come out of that ball. It's not going to be bouncing anymore. What are you going to do with your life? Get that degree, get a meaningful degree, so that whenever that ball stops bouncing, you'll be able to do something with your life.
For an athlete, there's nothing scarier than a torn ACL.
Athletes trust us with their care and their careers because we're a recognized leader in sports medicine.
Get back to your active life sooner with MedStar Sports Medicine.
Rock and Jump, the ultimate trampoline park, is now open in Towson. Get big air and have big fun at Rock and Jump. You and your friends are sure to have a blast in our state-of-the-art jumping arenas. Want to be a rock star with your kids? Book their next birthday party at Rock and Jump. Our slam dunk zones, high-flying dodgeball, and super popular X-Beam make Rock and Jump the most rockin' birthday experience around. With a private party room and a personal party host, a Rock and Jump birthday party is great for the kids and easy on parents. Visit rockandjump.com for all the info to book your party today.
Mariner Finance is a consumer finance company, so we offer personal loans.
Mariner Finance is a great place to work. It's a great thing for anyone with the entrepreneurial spirit.
Everybody in every office has an opportunity to achieve and grow.
Be your own leader. Be a leader amongst the fellow coworkers in your office.
The training and development that we do at Mariner Finance is one-on-one. Someone who has been there, done it, experienced it.
There is no better feeling.
Learn with us.
Grow with us.
Run with us.
Welcome back to the Tiger Basketball Report. I'm Spiro Morekas, joined by the head coach of the Tigers, Pat Skerry. It's that time of the year again where families join together and have their Thanksgiving meals. And you know, basketball coaches have to deal with something that football coaches, lacrosse coaches, college baseball coaches don't have to deal with. You got 2 major holidays in the middle of your season, Thanksgiving and Christmas. When you put things together for the year, how much do those holidays come into effect?
Well, a lot, and it's tough because of the amount of games you play, and like you said, the way the semester stretches and you don't really play games over exams. It's a sensitive thing because guys are away from their family, and you know we talk about when you have a team and a program, we talk about that is your family, and it is to an extent, but it never can totally replicate what guys are used to at home and everything. So unfortunately, you almost always have to play over Thanksgiving. And then we really I want to give them off at least 3 days, a good 3 days. I didn't say at least, a good 3 days at Christmas, which we're which we're going to do again. But we've had the guys over our house since I've been here for Thanksgiving. We're doing it again this year. My wife Kristen does a great job, and she also makes it a point to I find out with a couple guys. Like I can tell you right now, we'll have sweet potato pie for Josh Ivory because he's requested it, and buffalo chicken dip for Tamaj Parker because he's requested it, and so we try to, as much as we can. I mean, you expect these guys are given a lot. They are. Also, a lot is expected of them, and it is a holiday, so you want them to feel good and comfortable. And it's a grind that you got to go to practice in the morning and the next afternoon, and so you want.
So it's not really a holiday. I mean, they got to go to practice Thursday morning, so yeah, they'll get the benefit of your wife's cooking later on in the day, but they still got work to do.
They do, and it's lift in the morning and practice. And I just want, my family wants our guys to at least get a good meal, be able to relax a little bit, and hopefully take a tiny sliver of what they used to experience at home back with them when they're here on campus still working.
Right, and then like you mentioned, you got Christmas and New Year's. This year, the CAA did everybody a big favor and scheduled games on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, December 31st in Williamsburg will be rocking.
Right, exactly. So you've got those holidays you've got to deal with, and I guess that's something you've got to look at when you set your season, when you're getting ready for next year now with your scheduling, you've got to think about those holidays in there.
Well, absolutely. Like to give it, I usually like to come back December 26th, but because we're playing December 23rd this year, we're going to give them off 24th, 25th, and 26th. And then come back at 27th. Now, we still got enough time because we don't play the 31st. Right. I just think that's important for them to. My 1 year at Pitt, we actually, Big Monday, we played UConn. We were like number 4. They were number 2 in the country. We played on December 27th, which just sounds great. Well, the guys are there for Christmas, and I just thought that it's tough, man. It's tough for the kids, It's a hard deal.
Right, it is. All right, what is also a hard deal is trying to get these guys to mesh together here early in the season because you do have new moving parts. We talked a little bit about, Mike Morcell before the break. William Adalamoto had a great start against LaSalle. Offensive numbers have kind of gone down since then. What's been the difference between William in that first game and these last 4?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's fair to expect anyone to get, 28 and 9 every night.
Right.
And he has it in him, but there's some rust coming off a sit-out year. He pressed home against Morgan, and we played good people down there. I thought he was pretty good against Oak State. Had a bad game against Ole Miss. I liked the way he responded against Bradley till he got in foul trouble. He's still getting 14 and 7, which is pretty good. I think the same thing. We talked to him about one, he got to take care of the ball better. That's the biggest thing. And then we got to settle him into more of that 4 spot, as opposed to moving him back and forth between the 3 and the 4. I think that's a lot to ask of him to do both. And then just take good shots. And I think when he physically impacts the game, he's a tough matchup. And I told him this yesterday at the airport. For us, to get where we need to get to, he's got to be there. Otherwise, we ain't going to get there. Right. So we're going to him. We're going to ride him. And that kid has worked really hard. So he'll deliver. I always think there's a little bit of rust early season with a guy that had a sit-out year.
And even though we are early in the year, everybody in the conference is playing. I'm sure you kind of, look a little bit to see what everybody else is doing because before we know it, we're going to be in conference play. And conference has had some big wins so far.
Yeah, I thought the conference came out like gangbusters, and the last couple of days lost some close games. Hofstra lost to Indiana State last night, and Charleston lost a tough one at Davidson. So they've been in some games. So the league looked good, although got to be consistent. James Madison's picked high. They lost 2 at home last week to Oral Roberts and Tennessee Martin. Northeastern lost to Miami, Ohio. That might have been a little bit of a surprise. So I think everyone's still trying to gain that measure of consistency.
Do have a couple wins against the ACC, though.
Yeah, great win. William Mary at NC State and Hofstra beating Florida State.
Right.
Those things are funny with those tournaments. So Hofstra, great win over Florida State, and they lost to South Carolina and lost to Indiana State. So a good team leaves 1 and 2 out of those tournaments.
You never know what you're going to get on a nightly basis this early in the season because, everybody's like you. Everybody's trying to feel their way through, and there's so many big games so early.
It's exciting.
Big games
it
so
is.
Early.
It's exciting. Are you ready for those? Probably not, but that's why you play them. I think we say all the time, there's no experience like game experience, really.
Right. Although coaches will tell you there's no experience like practice. So. We have to take one more break, but we'll be back with more of the Tiger Basketball Report right after this.
I always say I've never worked a day in my life. This beats working. So just getting to coach and work with student athletes on a daily basis at a high level and with great peer institutions, it's a privilege. I think it's the most competitive conference in the country. If you study the amount of, like Ken Palm and those type of things, 4 teams going 12-6, games within 7 points. It's a meat grinder, 18 nights a year. It's a coin flip. Obviously, you want to be playing your best basketball coming down the stretch. If you are, it's very, very possible. You get the madness of March, you can strike gold at the right time. So it's something that every coach is striving for. Are you healthy? How's your chemistry? Is your execution on point? It's not easy to get to, but it's the goal. But it's a privilege to be a men's basketball player, and there's a tremendous amount of demands and expectations on their time and their performance. Academically, on the court, how they carry themselves as people. I think the rewards are really good, not just futures after basketball, but their futures in life. And that's why I think athletes become really productive members of the workforce when they're done.
How long does it take to change the game of basketball? Days, years, decades? How about 0.4 seconds? All of a sudden, big ain't so big no more. Small ain't so small. The step back 3 is the new dunk. Follow through is the new poster. Range is the new hang time. How long to change the game of basketball? 1 second or less.
Oh, hello! Can you help Santa with a new data plan?
Sure thing. Right now you can get 15 gigs of data for the price of 10. That's 5 extra gigs for the same price.
Looks like someone just made it to the top of the nice list.
In that case, I want a new bicycle, a bike, helmet, a basketball, a stuffed animal that talks when you squeeze it, and...
I got your letter. We're good.
Oh, okay, I was just making sure.
Get 15 gigs for the price of 10, now at AT&T.
For an athlete, there's nothing scarier than a torn ACL.
Athletes trust us with their care and their careers because we're a recognized leader in sports medicine.
Get back to your active life sooner with MedStar Sports Medicine.
Welcome back to the Tiger Basketball Report. Coach, good luck this week against the Bison of Gallaudet and the Golden Eagles of Coppin State. And let me just leave you with this. As the great American philosopher Bob Dylan once said, you don't need a weatherman to tell you which way the wind blows.
That's a great point, Spiro. I'm going to leave you with an old African proverb. If you want to run fast, run alone. If you want to run far, run together.
There you go. Always thinking about the team. As we have mentioned, the Tigers will be welcoming Gallaudet into CQ Arena at 2 o'clock on Wednesday. You can catch the live broadcast starting at 1:45 with the pregame show hosted by myself on both TowsonTigers.com and CBS Sports Radio 1300. Tickets are available online at TowsonTigers.com or by calling 1-855-TU-TIGER. Make sure you take advantage of the Game Flex Plan packages. Saturday against Coppin begins at 4 p.m. The pregame show goes at 3:45. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Tiger Basketball Report. For head coach Pat Skerry, I'm Spiro Morekas. Have a great weekend as always. Go Tigers.